Final hour of the trading session. Welcome back to the close. Here we go. Look at where we're at. Pretty red, unfortunately, right across the board. S&P 500, about 0.5%. Remember, both the S&P and NASDAQ record high closes yesterday, so a little bit of a pullback expected, 0.45. For both of these right now, Toronto about the same, even negative bottom end of the board here, guys. That being said, lots moving around here as we head into the final hour of the day.
Yeah, I'll start this off. This is, let's address this right now. Snow, man, I got handed to on snow. Earlier this morning, 50-cent hit, and then we took the $4 hit as we broke the 294. Hey, you know what? That's trading for you. You take some hits here. Where do you make money? You see the positions. Airbnb, we still have that same trade from this morning as well, just short, just underneath 157. That's now, what is that, $4.25 in the money? Again, we're looking underneath 150 for the first target on Airbnb. We're going to be aggressive with this, and we're still holding to that. WSM did bounce back up a little bit, back into the 90s, pretty much to break even. But again, we're not moving on this one. This one was meant to be an aggressive trade as well, so we're waiting for this to go. And the other position I picked up as well is Baba. Baba short just underneath 166. That is now up 55 cents in the money. So we're trying to make some money back on snow. As of right now, if I were to close out positions, I'd still be positive. I'd actually go positive. But because of snow, I am negative at the moment. That's just the one hit that, man, that was really difficult to trade. Given how it moved this morning, and then that secondary move on the false break, I think I'm going to avoid this for a couple days, or at least until Monday, so this thing can settle down and I can get a better read on it. But for now, everything else is working out. Futures, I do want to address this as well. Futures, I did take a position. It's not up on the board because we have some settings that would need to be changed. It's not on the board just yet, but futures, I am short 70. I was short early. Yes, I held 15 points back against me. Remember, when I took the short, I said if 44.70 settles in, we get the short, and then it has to be a 30-point risk. Well, 45 even, 4,500 is the stop. So 15 point against you, and then it comes right back. That's trading for you guys. Sometimes it takes some time, but you do have to hold to your guns.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to talk a little bit about holding to your guns and giving a wider stop when I get into Sava. But if you were watching the morning show, you might have heard me say that I made a keystroke error like right after 7 a.m. on that like small GSMG stock. And it's like, you know, keystroked into a position, I had to immediately get out. Like, as we open this show here, and I put the short on support.com, just, you know, simple, I got into the 18, actually like 62s here. It was kind of probably should have like a 75 price off that 18 high. And then, okay, it was testing the upside. I wanted to put some bids in just on the way down like I have here. And I keystroked out of a quarter of the position up there at 1785. So I'm kind of bookmarking it for myself. Opening the show in the morning with a keystroke error, and we have a small keystroke here on support.com, which has been incredibly strong, by the way, guys. So up 26%. And this is not just the fact that it came all the way back down to pre-market lows and is giving you a push all the way back upside here. And remember what this has done. This is the daily chart of this thing. Like, it's gotten super parabolic. I haven't really been too much about picking tops on this, but I looked at that 18 after this parabolic move, and I just had to take a shot at it here. So I got the support short. Might call it spirit every now and then. I apologize in advance if I do that. We get a lot of questions about Ride, which is Lordstown. I'm not going to make fun of Arun for, no, it's fine. This morning we were talking about Ride, and it's like we traded Milan in the past, like years and years ago. So you think race because it's Ferrari. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. We're talking about Lordstown here. People want to know my thoughts on it. I think really you need to have, if you're looking for short, you need to have had this around that $7 range. And I'm not in love with it with shorting it at the bottom here. It doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to me. I know it's been only giving it back upside, but you know, at the end of the day, it's put in a bit of a big run. There's a decent chance that maybe there's a breakdown that takes you all the way into the low of the day. Just don't have the feeling that's going to be the case, especially after the spike that it just made. I'd need to see that extend back at least into the 85 to $7 range. And then I really think that's when it's going to be put to the test as to whether or not it can continue that move into the upside. That support is still basically flat. We do need to check back in on Sava. Look, I still have some people talking about it's been a tricky day-to-day trade. Like Williams-Sonoma stunk for me. Cassava Sciences, this is still on Ride. I did click on Sava. There we go. Cassava Sciences actually bounces into the upside. And one of the things that we did when we flipped from the long to the short here was try to hold it too long. Now, I still think I made a bit of a mistake getting some out at 75, thinking that it would barcode there and give a re-entry. It never did. And then I put a trailing stop in at 71. That ended up being the right decision. But after we come back from Brendan, I want to explain why I still think there was a better route to take a few extra dollars out of that move when it broke yesterday's low. Brendan?
Another day, so that means I don't think we talked about SGOC yesterday, guys, but it's been a couple days, so why not mention it today? Up 40% here for SGOC, heading towards day highs. So a big mover late in the session. Just had a volume alert here. Pretty significant level, $9 for SGOC.
All right, now let's talk some stops. Because we have 3 trades right now that are in the money. Some of them are deep in the money. Let's talk about some stops because we do have to protect some of these profits, especially going into the end of the day, right? So with Airbnb this deep in the money, where did it bounce last that I'm willing to put the stop in? I'm going to move the stop in just above 152.50. Let's start protecting some of this it could easily bounce right off of 150. So 152.50 I think makes sense to me. That locks in about what I call it $4 and change. As it's going through 152, it's not much in terms of space, but at this point, I don't think you need more space, right? This is actually starting to get going. And if it's going to keep on going, it's going to go now without bouncing. So 152 and change is going to be the stop. It's going to be about call it 60, 152.60, just above there. I'll cross out and get some shares. Baba on this, I've moved this trailing stop to break even. If it bounces right off of right here, if it bounces right now and gets back above 166, I don't think I need to hold on to this, right? That would call it confirm a double bottom, a failed break, whatever you want to call it. So we can walk away with maybe a 5-6 cent hit on that. And WSM as well, we can move the stop just above 190, above 190.5. Risk about 50 cents instead of the $4 that was initially there. Brendan, what's up?
Market back towards day lows here, guys. We head into, as we said, the final hour of the day. Here's one that's among the leaders to the downside. 2.25% here for Uber, already at day lows and then some. 40.50, possibly next stop here. Some volume coming into Uber.
Yeah, that stock can't seem to get out of its own way, but I feel like, sometimes the beaten up names are going to get beaten up further when we have a reversal day. It's only 0.5% in the market, but we did talk, you just mentioned that SGOC, and I do want to get into this because this is a pretty key area here, both because the first time it went parabolic up to 30, you had a $9 pullback and some wicks down at that price, and then price acceptance at 9 before falling through, and wow, there goes Spirit support. I wanted the option that this could be a fail break on support, so I'm not actually reversing into a long position. It just broke 18, got to 18.17, and is looking like there's some offers stacking up. If it fails here, I'm just going to jump right back into the short and give it a 17 stop. But this is a key level also on SGOC. That's why you see it stalling out at that 19 range, guys, or that $9 range, because you look at the daily chart and there's been a bit of a pivot there a couple of times, in both directions. So you kind of want to see it. I don't love the breakout at this price. Maybe let it go through that quarters. You kind of want to see it test it down lower, down to that 880 before jumping into the short. I really definitely believe I would stay away from the breakout long until it gets above that 925 price, guys. So I did jump back into, while this was happening, SPRT. So if I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I'm going to get my stop in at the new high of the day. And it's one of those things where there are trades where I firmly believe they should have a hard stop or there's going to be a reversal in it. And there's some opportunities where when it's parabolic for multiple days, I do believe in taking multiple shots here simply because of how it's been acting the last couple of sessions. The volume is still picking up. But if it fails to make a fresh high, I'm just going to want to make sure I'm getting right back into this bad boy on what looks like a bit of a fail break. People would have taken an 18 break long, and then if it doesn't take out that fresh high, I think there's twice as much upside in the trade. Now, what this ends up doing is, these are going to be relatively tight stops, like 20 cents here and 20 cents there. But I found it's a more efficient way to tackle the short side of the trade. Maybe you get that. I mean, at this point, you're looking like trying to capture like $1.50 to $2 worth of a movement. Now, do I like doing that, getting into a position short, and then you're trying to get all of this back here, and then give it $1 or give it 80 cents? I've never liked that style of trading, so that's why I deploy short in front of that high, allow it to break, have your stop. It's fine. You can have a stop at 18 there, guys. And when I stop out, we get right back in when it flushed back down, and then it takes out that new high. I don't love the long break, like I mentioned. I'm going to get to GameStop. But there is a bit of a reversal happening, I think both in AMC and GameStop. Now, I was long GameStop in this range before. I did go long at the 205 for a dip buy. Stick around for the trade of the day. It's going to be buying the dip on GameStop. I don't think I'm going to be buying a 205 dip here. I feel like a decent chance with the market coming in, we're going to break this 205, and then it's right back to, so I got wicked out of my 202 long, and I don't want that to happen again. I think it's 202 down into that 199. Anything in that range, I want to be stepping in front of that falling sword and catching it to the long side, guys. So GameStop is making some movement into the downside. I want to pay attention to that one. And on the flip side, not on the flip side, I guess in the other side of the trade, I should say. And one of the reasons why, as I was just saying, I didn't want to jump into that 205 that worked on GameStop. AMC is breaking lows and just got to that 40-50. Now, I traded way too early yesterday, trying to get 43 longs and 42s when I said your range is down to that 40-50 when we pulled out the daily chart, guys, in the 15-minute, and that's what I want to stick to right here. So I'm looking AMC right here, right now. GameStop would have to drop further, but I waited a while for 14.50, and 14.50 has finally come.
All right, so let's just get a quick update on a few positions I've actually added since I last talked here. Facebook, you've seen the market as a whole go off. Let's go to the market real quickly. Here we are at the lows of the day, 44.65-ish. We just got underneath it, so we are attacking the lows going into the end of the session. So what goes with it? Well, the top heavyweights, right? The tech heavyweights are going with it. Facebook broke 365 and change, so I went ahead and took a short just in front of 365. First target's going to be 363. Risk on this is about $2 or so. So we're getting 1-to-1 risk reward on this trade. So let's go ahead and take that out. The other position that's actually working deep in the money as well, Airbnb. What are we going to do with this? Again, trail stop has moved above 152 and change, 152.5 and change. So we're going to leave the stop or the target down here. It's been in for a while. 148 and change is going to be my first target. We're going to let it go and see how far we can get with this one. And Baba, again, Baba's trail stop is at 166. Target is down here close to 163. So we're going to leave that alone. What else do I have? Airbnb, I talked about. Baba, I've talked about. NVAX, yes. NVAX I just took. NVAX broke this 228 point. So I went ahead and took a short just underneath 228. It may have been a little early, but I do like the idea of going short underneath 228. The stop on this is going to be tight. It's going to be a $2 risk. It's already 70 cents against me with the spread. This is just meant to see how much action I can get below 228. If there's a snapback, then I know that this level is a little bit larger than that was expected. If there is a flush, though, then you could easily expect 225. So 1-to-1 is not even 1-to-1. It's 1.5-to-1 in terms of risk reward. So I think that's worth a shot. So I've got multiple shorts here. I've got 5 shorts. Most of them in the money, some of them deep in the money, and NVAX out of the money, and futures bouncing off of this 65 area, 44.65-ish area. So what I can do now is actually move the stop from the 30-point risk profile up here at 4,500 all the way down to 44, just above 75. Because if we come back above 75, clearly that 70 break is not going to hold. That's the expectation, right? We were expecting it to kind of get underneath. We got the selling. We were expecting it to continue on down. And then we bounced up 15 points, came right back down, took out the low. We took out the low by a tick. And then if we bounce again into the mid-70s, I think this short idea is gone. It's going to cost me about 6 points. But it's not 30 points, and I get more information. It allows me to know that, you know what, there's a better support area. Instead of 70, 44.70, I can now use 44.65. Again, guys, we're just giving you levels, right? I want you guys to do your own work. Do your own work. We're not trading for you. We're giving you ideas so you can contemplate what are they looking at, what are they thinking, is this something I can see as well, is this something I can take as well? Because if you guys are trying to copy, then it's not going to work out, because you got to capture every single trade that we take in the same manner that we take it and manage it the same way we manage it, right? That's impossible to do. So it's a matter of putting the information out there in front of you guys so you guys can digest it, look at it, and hopefully learn from it, right? That's a whole thing. That's the whole thing that we're doing here is education, 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 kind of get an in-depth look into the mind, the operation, how we work. And hopefully that helps you guys learn a little bit. And hopefully that improves your trading, improves your profits, and you can kind of develop alongside with us.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about here. Just also keep in mind, everything that we're both doing is we're day trading. We have to be actually flat at the end of the day, meaning we don't hold positions overnight. We don't hold them into the aftermarket if can be avoided. I mean, sometimes accidents could happen, I suppose. But I want to get to that SJOT because, look, candidly speaking, like support is up at like 19. It got to 1975. It's now at like 1930 or so. But SGOC does make that rollover. Now, I was focused at the time on support because I got into position on it, and two running stocks like that, I probably don't want to be involved in them. But at the same time, picked the wrong one. The setups were very, very similar. Maybe not as parabolic. So a lot of times you get that FOMO. You choose the more parabolic because there's more of a return. But I guess the safer trade was going to be right here in SGOC. And then as I say that, support just turned off that $20 level pretty hard. Now I'm still in that AMC trade. I'm watching GameStop hold up a little bit nicer. But what I mean by support.com turning around, look at that. Like if that was a parabolic move, like that was a gargantuan move. So as I'm sitting there yapping away and trading AMC, there goes the shot. Will you hit that key? I gotta find my slap in the face one because that's probably a better one to use here. And now you're absolutely cratering, but where are you cratering to? Catch a falling sword level. If this was a stop out before, then yeah, see 1820? And I've kind of learned from this one that whenever there's a stop out level like that and you get a parabolic move up, if I see a candle like this, I am more or less always like, it's like, yeah, okay, that was a good place to put a stop because when it broke 18, where did it go to? Went to that 1820 level, failed, gave me a reason to go into a short, right? Right back in. And then when it took out that level, that was the real parabolic move. It was the second push up. On the way down, you better believe I'm stepping in front of this. And I've sort of said this before, like I got to look at some of the levels that, if you find, and sort of, this is something that if you've been watching the show as I get out of the rest of this, because it's a rubber band trade, I should be scalping out of it and not sitting there holding like it's going to go back to 20. But if you find, which I have found, you guys have probably seen when I post some of my charts on Twitter, it's like, hey, that price where I stopped out of that short, not only was it a redonkulous breakout price, but then it was future support. So it would behoove me, and yes, I'm using a school word there, to start taking those trades a little bit more often. Now, I didn't get the breakout trade, but I darn sure am able, as you saw there, as it's falling into the downside, simply step in, buy right in front of that breakout price, and make a quick 30, 40 cents on that trade. Like it's about adding to your repertoire, right? So, catching the falling sword can be one. Obviously, I get it, I understand. The next level would be simply wanting that break, right? It's the second time through, I should be taking it out there. There is a structured trade to put in, right? Like there's an 1820 or 1825 break in there with a stop below 18 even that can be put on. There's no question about that, right? It's just a matter of, putting that in the repertoire, executing it, refining it, because I'm probably not going to stop shorting some of these stocks because they work. But at the same time, there's other things that I can be doing with these levels and with those strategies. So we can all learn here together. That's another one right there, catching the falling sword. I will say, this could go all the way back to 1950. I don't care. Like I would never treat this trade as, oh my God, but crap, it went all the way back up and I gave some away. No, you're stepping into a level like that. You're taking the immediate profit. That's the style of trade that is, and I'll always stick to it. AMC, of course, I wait all this time for it to finally get down into that 40-50 level. On the way back up, I get 85s. It then tests right back down. Look what while this was happening, it just bounced off of 40-50 exactly. And as usual, what was I doing? I'm not going to be mad. We were just making some money back on that support trade. But AMC gave that test. I probably could have added right here when it retook that low at 65, got myself a better price at 75. Now in this case, because it just bounced off that 50 to a dime, I'll probably have to walk away from adding to it. I mean, I could add on a breakout at 41. That would be reasonable because that's with the momentum. But adding on the way down doesn't make any more sense to me here. So we'll roll with what we have. It once again is holding up at 41. The longer it consolidates here at 41, obviously maybe not a good thing at that low because I'm running out of time, got to be flat at the end of the day. But it's also coiling up a little bit more. That means when and if it does go, might extend just a little bit further.
Yeah, extension-wise, man, the future is bouncing off that low. After getting through it just a tick, it bouncing strong right back above 70. This was a concern, right? If we were going to continue on, we had to take out that level or that point, the low point, more than just by a tick. We clearly are hesitating to take that out, at least for now. So again, we got to protect. What else can we do? At this point, we're not going to get into anything else. We're already in 5 shorts. I was talking about this earlier. We started the day long, five longs, 2 shorts. And then as the day will progress, we kind of rotated away into 3 and 3 longs, 3 shorts. And now I'm pretty much 5 shorts across the board. And Facebook is bouncing with the futures. It makes sense. Facebook is a part of the tech index, is moving strong with the futures. Not surprisingly, NVAX is also bouncing right off that 228. So this is going to be a tester that did not work out. So this was a matter of seeing how far we can go. doesn't look like that's going to extend too far. But now what we can do with all of these positions is we kind of get a feel for how the market wants to handle these lows. So let's start running some, to start taking some profits, right? WSM, I've moved the stop just above 189. So that way I can lock in a buck. Airbnb, I would like to take some profit, but I don't know. We're only 45 cents away from the stop. So it doesn't make sense to take profit right now and have the stop right there. So we're going to leave that one alone. Baba, I'm actually going to I've actually got a bid down in front of 10, trying to bid my way out of at least half the position. Remember, the other half is at the break even. So above 166, actually, well, I guess not break even, it's like 5 or 6 cent loss. But for me, I'd like to get some out here and then see if I can't. I'll take the other half until the end and see how far we get with that. But the original target was 163 and change. I think I had some 163s or even 161s in there. I don't think I'm going to get that, so we're going to leave that alone. So all we can really do now, all the ones that are in the money, the WSMs, the Airbnbs, the Babas, the ones that are in the money, we got to protect. The ones that are out of the money, well, we're going to get stopped out on them because they're fairly tight, I think, except for Facebook, which is bouncing. But I'm going to give it the opportunity to bounce because the NASDAQ can balance at 350 when it comes out. If it's slightly to the negative, or if it's negative at all, this will go right back down there. And since we're flirting with this 365, I'm going to tighten up the stop. The closer and closer we get to 350, the tighter the stop is going to get, just so I can avoid the mess that the imbalance is going to create. Brendan, what's up?
I saw this one pop up, guys, when we came back on here. OPGN, just making another push and another day high there on some volume up to 320, but 12% here for OPGN. It's one of those little ones that every once in a while, when it gets going, can give you quite a move. So heads up, OPGN.
So it's interesting. Like I saw someone in the chat, they're like, "I'm surprised you're not short on SPRT." Look, it's a matter of actually getting that set up. Like if you know I'm going counter trend, a lot of times I want to see it actually bounce into the level first and then get in. Okay, so could I have like 1970 short on this thing right now? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, Neil. Takes him out. Takes him out. Takes him out. Takes him out. Come on. Come on. Come on, Centipede. Come on, Centipede. Come on. You guys ever seen like See No Evil, Hear No Evil? Gene Wilder. Richard Pryor, absolute legendary. That's where it's from. Apologies. I love that movie. But what I was trying to get at there was I'll let it bounce off that level. I know if you put the offer in front of the high, I'm short at 1970 in that particular case. But I'm waiting for it to bounce away from it, and I don't care. And then just pop an order at 50s. That's really creative of me there. Pop an offer at 50, get some out at 19. Again, that's really creative, Neil. Will I bid out in front of 1820? Duh. Definitely taking it all off in front of 1820. As a matter of fact, remember that first push off of 1820 right into that 1850 area where I got out of that bounce long? That's kind of where I should have put the other bid. Now, it went down there, and I'm now still sitting in the rest of the trade, but I didn't quite get there. We'll go for like an 1850 for the quick dollar win. So, look, it's been pretty, I'd say it's been pretty solid here on SPRT. And the only reason why like you won't see me like doing like all kinds of backflips over this is because in the back of my mind, I do recognize 100% that that's maybe obviously a more low-hanging fruit, the reversal into the long trend. And it's one of those things that I got to be able to have. I'm never the guy that's going to be long here. It'll just never happen. I just I don't understand. Like if you're taking this long break, 1665 early on, and then okay, like I'm stopping out here for like 20 or 30 cents. It's like right into the chop. Right? So that never makes any sense to me. You want there to be a clean runway to the upside for you to take advantage of. But certainly this consolidation and then fail break once, second time through, I got to find a way to be taking some of those long trades. I can find my way into those shorts, especially you take a couple of hits, fine. Buy the dip, quick little scalp, make it back, and then find your bigger short trade here. This could still take out the top, by the way. And it's not to be paper hands about the AMC over there as well, but I'm flat on this at the end of the day. I mean, if it comes back up, I got to take 41.20 because I just didn't before. It just actually popped through 41. I didn't take any profit on AMC. It's got 35 minutes left, so I can let it run, but that time is running out. I can't hold it overnight, even if I think it might move to the upside if it holds this level. There's nothing I can do about it, and then we're going to be flat at the end of the day. Next time it comes above 41, I got to take some profit on AMC, but I can hang on to this support trade at least down to that 1860 area in front of that 1850, not look the gift horse in the mouth, and take the quick profit. So someone asks us, like, why are you not already short? Because, yeah, sure, could I have gotten it at 1920 and then more at 40 and then more at 70 and would it have worked? Yes. Do I like that entry? Not really, not my style.
Yeah, okay, so just an update. NVAX, we are out of NVAX. It broke back above 230. And we'll come back to me after Brendan.
Just going to mention Ford here, guys, making a little bit of a push back to the upside, it would appear. Some volume came in there at Ford. They announced a little earlier this afternoon that they were going to cut F-150 production here in Oakville in Ontario. Production for next week, I believe, and shift it to Kansas, all tied back to the chip shortage, guys. So some of the automakers under pressure here.
All right.
Ugh, I hate this.
Well, let's take a quick look at BABA. I mentioned that I actually wanted to take some profit on this because we're getting close to the end of the day. It's starting to bounce around 165, whatnot. Yeah, we got some out right in front of 165.10. You see that entry here. I've still got half of it left. Trail stop is going to be just above 166. It's break even. At this point, I'm coming out ahead. Even if this comes all the way back up, I'm going to lose like 5 cents on the second half, and I would have made from 165.94 all the way down to 165.13. So we're coming out ahead by about 80 cents, 90 cents, or something like that. Do the math. WSM is breaking down. This is good. Because I had tightened the stop up to 189, we were close to getting out of this because we are nearing the end of the day. We can't hold our positions. So as a day trading firm, we actually walk away flat by the end of the day. So the fact that it's actually breaking down allows me to now give it a chance to move the stop to 188, because if we come back above and go right back into this range, well, we can walk away from this trade, take $2, be happy, walk away, and look at that, Airbnb. Okay, we're going to respect this well, 152.50, coming back underneath 152 now. Okay, so the stop is in the right place in this case. I still got the entire position from this morning. Remember, we were short just below 157, so we are still riding this train. $5 in the money at the moment, or almost $5 in the money, 486 to be exact, in the money at the moment, and we're just waiting for those. And hey, look at that, futures coming back down below 70. That means, you know what Facebook is doing? Going right back down with it. So here we are on Facebook, 25 cents in the money, and we're just going to take this into the end of the day, seems like.
Got to hit that one for you there, Arun. That is Arun's patented, it's his personal graphic right there, the pew pew. We were talking about Ford there. I think it behooves me to fill in for Sean a little bit. I'm a GM guy. That fly, I'm telling you, man, we need to slaughter or something because I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. It's been all week. At some point, we're going to get that fly. It just keeps buzzing around my head, landing on my keyboard. I'm not going to slam my sell key, which was on for like a couple of minutes this morning, just to kill the fly. But 11, you look at this 11 area on Ford, like 11 quarter, up to about like 11.88. Like that's the real go zone. It feels like with both Ford and GM, you just got to ride this out, sit back, let it come back in maybe another 10% before it's going to be go time, especially if we take it, and I apologize for the wicks here, there's some crazy dark pool prints, allow it to break the 12 quarter. And if it ever breaks 12 quarter, I think that's the move where you can start loading up on this bad boy. And GM's a very, very similar thing. While Arun was talking, support was going back into the downside. Now I know I was saying I was bidding in front of that 1850. As a matter of fact, it was at 1865. Not to put too fine a point on it. And then there was a buyer. I'm telling you, there was an iceberg that just decided to show up at 1867, which then spiked the stock right back up to like 1925. It was like the second it was a refreshing order, the buyers just popped right back in. What that tells me is there's still some heavy algo action, which is playing in front of like spot buy order, spot refreshing buyer, spot big bid, just buy in front of it and then push the stock up. So that's a scalping game. So that's why I kind of feel like, maybe I'll zoom in a little so you guys can see here. That's why I kind of feel like when it spotted that bid and turned literally right here on this particular candle, where did it stall out and where did the selling come in? Yeah, right here at that lower high, randomly at 1930. So you've definitely got, I don't know, with algos or maybe someone just automated trading or whatever, faster hands than you or I could probably have, would have taken advantage of that, slipped in front of it, scalped out at the absolute top, and that's how some people are making that like quick, like 40 or 50 cents. Could you be really stupid quick and make those same trades yourself? Probably. I mean, it's certainly possible, but without the ability of some automated trading just to be a little bit faster, maybe you're not going to catch that as soon as it happens. I could recognize it to be able to stare there blankly, cancel my bid, and try to put it higher and miss. But outside of that, I mean, all you can do is recognize the buyer was there. And what happened? I stepped my bid up. Are you kidding me? I stepped my bid up, and then it bounced off of it again. So that's literally twice in a row. Here's another way to do this. The next time it comes down to that price, I'm going to allow it to trade down, then I'm going to hit the offer.
All right, a couple things I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and flatten out BABA. Well, I'm going to bid my way out of BABA, or try to bid my way out of BABA here. I think it's starting to stabilize here, sub 165.20 or so. There seems to be enough buying. We've got half an hour left. Do I need to give it all the way back? Let's try to bank some more, right? We've banked 80 cents already. Why don't we try to get the remaining 60 cents or so? Well, I'd like to get around 70 to 75, so I am waiting below 20, see if I can't get a fill down there. I'll give it a chance. If not, I'll just move it up to just in front of 20. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it just above 20. So there you go. The order moved up. And so we're going to leave that one alone. And what do we have? We're going to leave Airbnb alone. The stop there is 152.50. Targets are below 150 even. We have WSM breaking down, so 188 is going to stay as is. Facebook is starting to stabilize here around 365. So you know what? Maybe we don't want to hold on to Facebook. It's a 20-cent hit right now. And if it stays this strong into, say, 330, which is right now, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to walk away from Facebook. I don't need to take a much bigger hit on Facebook. I don't want to deal with the problem is the indexes, when they get going, especially late in the session, because there are some programs that need to kind of run going into the close. We don't need to take much larger hits than necessary as these programs start they start to get going, right? You see the futures stabilize below 44.70. So you know what? It's possible that we have some buy programs coming into the end of the day, so we'll just leave it alone. I'll walk away from Facebook. There you go. Take that hit. It's about 20 cents and change. We're still waiting to get on Baba, so we're now down to 3 shorts: WSM, Airbnb, and Baba. Baba's down to half because I'm trying to get out in front of 165.20. We're going to leave Airbnb alone because it's too close to the trailing stop, and WSM stops has moved, so we'll leave that alone as well. So keep in mind, guys, in about 20 minutes, we're going to have a NASDAQ imbalance. Well, New York, NASDAQ, the North American imbalances are going to come out, and if the imbalances are in one direction, larger in one direction than the other, you're going to have the entire index and the associated stocks move with it.
Yeah. No, so I actually finally got out of that trade in SPRT. Someone's like, isn't that what, when I was explaining that whole thing about like there being, traders that are sort of gaming on those orders, and then someone's like, isn't that what we're doing? I'm like, I wish I could tell you that that's the case, but like there's a line from a Star Wars film, maybe not the greatest Star Wars film ever, probably not, maybe even the worst. There's always a bigger fish. It's just so entirely true. I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, how good you really might be. There is always a bigger trader. And if you should always be trying to analyze the markets as if, or analyze your trades with that sort of understanding that no matter how good you get, there's a better read that you could have. Now, obviously, it is what it is. Like when we finally get that fill, and it stops buying in front of those, it can relieve some pressure and it starts to come back in. But that's part of the game here. The stock has been entirely too strong not to ignore the fact that I don't think it's a coincidence that the stock comes down. You sit on the bid there on the move down, and then twice, then a couple of pennies higher, someone jams a freshing order, and then it goes high, goes up again, and then the same thing happens twice in a row. Well, then change your tactic, right? Sometimes you don't want to be sitting in the book, almost regardless of size. Like I've seen minuscule size turn a book just because the order was put in too late, and there's a reaction maybe by the gateway that got put in there, and then the buying just comes in front of it anyway, signifying that it could be a small piece of a bigger order. Lots of these things can happen, and you want to make sure that you're paying attention to those nuances when you're trying to work a trade in a fast-moving stock, I should say. Brendo?
We have exciting news, guys. I'm thrilled to be the one to be able to announce this, but coming up on Tuesday of next week. Neil's unfortunately not going to be here for this, but we're very excited anyways. Sean back on Monday, Neil off next week. We're going to have WonderFi on the show, guys, on Tuesday. So happy to be able to pass this along to you. WonderFi coming on Tuesday, including CEO Ben Samaru, Kevin O'Leary making his return to the show once again, and Josh Richards going to come by as well. So we're super excited to pass that along. Make sure you're here on Tuesday, again, the 31st. WonderFi coming, guys.
Yeah, I don't know too many TikTok stars. I just know Miss V. Yeah, Josh apparently a very, very large celebrity, and he's also Canadian, by the way, Toronto boy. And so on TikTok, he's very popular. Mr. Wonderful's been on the show before, and we can't wait to have him back. It just kind of sucks. I mean, look, I'm not upset over the fact that I get to spend a week with the family on vacation like Sean is this week, but I am going to miss out on that day, so I'll get to watch it back. I'm probably the type that, when I'm on vacation, I like to unplug, baby. So I apologize in advance if you're waiting for tweets. If you're waiting for tweets from me next week, it's not going to happen, man. If I have my phone on me, then I'm doing it wrong. But that's just the way I do it. I apologize. We maybe didn't talk about AUPH. I know some people were talking about that one in the chat, guys. So instead of hitting like a key, which I probably could have for getting out of SPRT, AUPH made a heck of a recovery after it looked like this stock was actually turning around after getting off the schneid the last couple of sessions. It looked all hell that it was going to make a turnaround here in the morning when it dipped into the downside and then has since broken back out. I would caution you, as it approaches this 1850 level, if you're watching the stock 1850 to 19, how harsh it was on a reversal at around that same price. So that's a very, very impressive move. Could it stall out at the next level to the upside? It would make some sense, but that is a big time turnaround, right? I mean, that's usually very, very bullish, the kind of thing that could lead into something next week. Let's say next week when today's Thursday, possibly tomorrow, although Friday it's all about Jackson Hole. Well, we're supposed to be calling it Jack
Hole.
Is Jack Hole or J Hole?
You said J Hole this morning.
It's J Hole. Okay, so I said J Hole this morning. That's how bad my memory is. I said J Hole for Jackson Hole. That's what we're calling it now. So J Hole. That's going to be the big thing tomorrow. But watch out for that AUPH monster reversal back into the upside today. So if you guys caught that, congratulations. As a matter of fact, if you see something like this and you can get yourself that 1650 long and then ride that, that's the kind of trade here that, look, I'm never going to excuse anybody for taking profit at 17. You got to, right? You take a little bit out there and then you just sort of hold on to it. I mean, it's not even at that 1850 level yet, although in the daily chart, that's going to show you a different story about trying to hold through that price. But a good look on that one. SPRT, I'm telling you, man, it's just the buyers don't stop. They don't stop. And it should, why am I not even, okay, anyways, so yeah. Right back into that 1840 area, wicks down, and then bounces off it. How much you want to bet? Okay, no, it broke through 1930 this time. So I'm really glad I'm not playing inside of that range because it could be so easy to just short 1925 thinking it's about to work again. This puppy's going right to that 20 level, and I'm just glad I took what I could out of it. Feels a little bit dangerous. AMC, I looked a gift horse in the mouth, and it's about to break 40.50. So I guess it is that week today on AMC. No chill, no bounce whatsoever. She just bounced to like 15 cents away from stopping me out. And the entire time I was trying to be patient with GameStop, which is relatively stronger. That's the one I did dip by this morning, but this one never came in. When AMC was going all the way down to that 40.50 level, I was kind of saying to myself, I shouldn't be buying at the levels from before. I got to let it flush further, come right into that 199 to like, I guess 202, 201, 202 area, and then you can buy in front of it. I could have just said, dip buy was good at 202, dip buy again in front of 202. Like that actually would have been in the money a couple of dollars. Instead, I go over to AMC. So that is twice this week that trading AMC instead of GameStop, which I do better on, has been a mistake. At some point, I got to recognize if there's one of those two stocks, and I'm probably like twice as profitable on GameStop in general as AMC, I should probably just only trade GameStop. That's the reality. Brendo, what's up, bud?
We saw that big spike down in the market this morning, guys, when we learned about the blast that happened at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan. Looks like I'm seeing a number of credible sources saying there's been another one. So just tread lightly and be careful with the overall market here. Apparently, I'll let you know if there's any other details.
All right, so when it comes to news like this, the market's paying attention, and the way to participate after the stock market has closed, well, it's the futures market, right? They're almost 24 hours. They'll close at 4:15 p.m. Eastern time, and they'll be back open at 6 p.m. Eastern, trading again to the following day, 4:15. So if you ever want to participate and you have the ability to, you have the futures in front of you. In this case, it'll be the S&P 500 E-mini contract that I'm looking at, I'm short in. You can trade that after 6 p.m. if you want to trade, if you want to participate in that market. I also want to just put it out there, guys. I know a lot of people are talking about SPRT and all these high flyer, flashy names. Just understand, when it comes to trading, it doesn't always have to be about the flash, right? There's so many different ways to make money. And sometimes it's these slow names that you don't think about a whole lot that actually move. Yesterday, we were in JWN Nordstrom. It took forever. It worked the entire day, but made a ton of money. So just be aware that flash doesn't always pay off in a big way as much as you think it does. Sometimes it's all about figuring out the stock, figuring out the setup that you're working with, and then just letting that setup work out. I'm sure there's going to be strategies to play with the high flyers as well, but there's so many different strategies. Just expand your horizons, try to trade different ways instead of just the one way that you think it makes money, because there's so many different ways to work with it.
You know what, and along those lines, I say this all the time, and I got to find a way to get into some of these trades. Remember I just talked about in support, we're showing those levels. It's like, okay, well, on the bounce, on the rubber band, like bounce to the downside, where am I getting out, or where did I get stopped out before? That's a good entry point. I want to pull up Cassava Sciences, because obviously that was a good short today, and I'm going to try not to dwell on it, because I'm not really even in position in this. Not even in position in this thing. Trader Pratt is very happy about something that just happened on the Toronto stock, which moved like a cent, but behind us. But like, look at that first move down when it broke that 20. This is yesterday's low that it broke on Cassava Sciences at 78.50, right? Now you're asking why did I actually thought it was a bit of a mistake to get out some early here at a random in front of like 75.50. But I said on the way down, if it checks up at 75 even, in front of that price, I want to take some out. And I was actually staring at the tape when on the way down, you had, and I'll zoom in so you can maybe see this one a little bit better. Go right into these candles down here. It had this last like big parabolic candle right down into that sort of 75, 60 area, and then open right down. The second it immediately tested 75.50, it's like, okay, it was just flushing, bid dropping down, spread opening up 30, 40 cents at a time. It then made one move to break that 75.50, where you think now, once it goes through there, the bid's going to fall. I should see 20s on the bid. I should see 10s, 15s. And just immediately refresh that 75.50 bid. That signaled to me, buyer in front of 75. Someone wants to hold it up, check it up here. I'm going to get out. Took out some shares there. Decided to hold. I thought it was going to bounce up and we retest this consolidation. Everything would be fine. That didn't happen. I'm gonna slide this over here because look at that out. This is now 75.50. Bounces off of 68. Where does this damn thing turn in the afternoon? Right at that same price we're on the way down, somebody actually thought it was worth a buy. Maybe they were covering a short. Maybe they were thinking it was a good long buy. Either way, it turns into a fantastic reversal price. So sometimes it's like, I'm not saying it's like a sixth sense, but whatever your instinct might be, where it's like, oh, I should get some, I see a buy here, I see a level here, when nothing sticks out on the chart. A lot of times, whatever it was that you saw or felt could be significant. And then you want to revisit that price. Because I would have been looking for a way to get back into Cassava Sciences. And the second I saw it turn at that same level, I could have easily shorted it at 74 here with my stop back up at that price, closed my eyes and walked away, held on to it, would have been $4 in the money. And all because of one simple out and something I observed at literally 10:55 in the morning while sitting in a winning trade and actually watching the stock to be able to learn something. It ends up turning into a perfect reversal price. It seems random, but these things rarely are. A lot of times there's information you're not getting, but subliminally you're getting it. If you're watching the tape, you can also observe that and kind of get that information to you. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that one out to you guys. Is behind me. I'm telling you, Trader Pratt is like very, very excited. I'm happy for him as well. So good job, buddy. I didn't hold.
All right, a couple things I'm doing here. We are looking to get the entire position of BABA out. Here we go. We're actually flat on BABA now. I'm going to just get out in front of these 20s, 165.20. We're getting too close to the imbalances, and we're kind of stabilizing here. So I don't even want to bother looking at the imbalance. That kind of locks in a good 80 cents or so in profit. So we'll walk away from that. The other position I want to get out of, actually half of it, I want to see the imbalance on the rest of it, but on half of it, I'd like to try to lock in about $4 on WSM. I'm trying to wait here in front of 186 and see if I can get a fill on that. And Airbnb, of course, is still moving, so we're going to leave that alone. We want to see the imbalance on this, right? The stop is too close, so there's no point in doing anything about that at this point in time. What I am going to do, though, and I did this yesterday, I did this almost every other day that I've been here. Guys, I'm going to put up the imbalance locator. I'll put up the imbalance locator for the entire market, but then as well, are there certain names that you guys want to see in the imbalance? Any hot names that I see multiple times in the chat, I'll go ahead and actually put them up, and you'll see it on the screen here with the imbalance, and we'll see how much pressure is going to come in from the, I guess, the offset or the imbalances or the order offset is going to come in towards the end of the day. Sometimes what you get is some pressure from the programs because the imbalances are so large in that direction. I'm seeing, the big names, Microsoft, AMD, BABA, SPY, that's the index itself, so I'm going to leave that alone. I saw AMD and BABA quite a few times, so I'm going to put up AMD. I'll put up BABA. Again, that all happens in about 5 minutes, so you guys just keep entering, and I'll go ahead through the chat, and I'll see what symbols keep coming up, and we will go ahead and put that on the list.
Yeah, just so, putting the symbols in there, guys. We love doing it for you. That's what it's all about here. I want to point out, I might not take another trade. We'll see if something really, really piques my interest. I don't love the idea of shorting again here on Spirit. I think the way that it worked the second time through, sort of taking it after it's failed off of a level, that was successful. Then I just kept seeing that, that I don't want to call it program buying, whatever you want to describe what I was talking about there, sort of that buying that was going on. I'm just not going to fight it. It's entirely too strong at this point. But I also don't like top breaks at 345, at 350. I don't like taking it. I've seen way too many, and it's been a shift. This is the kind of trade that you used to put on and would work a heck of a lot more. I want to say maybe it's like a few years ago. It could actually be like maybe a year and a half. But anyways, it hasn't worked as often because what's shifted is there's a heck of a lot more of those moves happening post-market. So you'll get a lack of buying in that last 10 or 15 minutes with the apprehension of not wanting to get caught in a reversal or profit taking at the end, and then all systems go, it'll break out, and then there's less resistance on the offer, and then it just goes up in the aftermarket, right? So that's one of the reasons you won't see me looking at a 20 break, which, I mean, come on, 20 break after it's been doing this, and some program buyers are up here at the top. You've seen them at 1860. You've seen them here at that 1880, that 1890 as well. So 20 break would seem like it's good. When you got to be flat at the end of the day, and so many of these moves don't happen until the aftermarket, you just lock it away. Try to understand some of the levels that'll come into play here. All the chop and acceptance that happened between 1750 and 18 that I was shorting into, and then eventually led to the breakout. That'll be significant. Whatever nonsense happened here at 1650 that I would never have been a part of for a breakout trade because I don't love the structure, I'd look back to that price as well. And I really see no chance that support comes down in here. But if something crazy were to happen, I guess overnight here in support, you really have to think about how good a bottom this was. I'm not talking about the range between that 1430 all the way to the pre-market low here at 14 even. I mean, if it sniffs that, like that's probably one of those situations where you're buying in front of it and your area stop goes through that because you're adding more, and then probably all the way down to this, like you're saying, okay, like you got to even love like these 1320s and 40s from before. I doubt it happens here, guys. And no, do I like the short right now? No, I'm not going to be taking it. Not the way that's played out. Got to be happy that we're able to battle this one and win. I want to go to GameStop just for a quick little second here because there's obviously there's some relative strength going on in GameStop. I mean, we got stopped out in the 40-50 on AMC. No diamond hands for me. I'd be flat at the end of the day anyways. But that's all with GameStop holding up 2%. AMC down 8.5%, right? And then breaking through some fresh lows. GameStop actually holding the original breakout that it had at 9:30 this morning. And holding actually, in fact, a higher low. So actually it broke out and then pulled right back in, held 200 even, put in a higher low. I should not have got stopped out here. That's sloppy. I'm only even holding at that point like the last third of the trade. That's when you widen your stop, maybe even think about getting more shares in on the way back up. I made a bit of a mistake there. I apologize. It's kind of like, why am I apologizing? No, I don't apologize. I apologize to myself for being an idiot, right? Like I should have gotten back into this trade when it consolidated higher. I didn't do that. Now it's putting in another higher low. So relative strength in GameStop. One thing to definitely file away going into Friday. If I don't trade AMC tomorrow, there's a very good reason. It's because I'll be in GameStop. 100% I'll be trading that support because I think there's going to be some moves there. And one more that I ignored. Oh, sorry, no, I didn't ignore it. Haven't traded since the morning. Is going to be TKAT. I tried that the long into a halt. I wish I got it here, where you're trying to catch the bid in that 15 seconds while it's in the halt state. This would have been good. Instead, I get this one, which wasn't that good. I mean, it made you a little bit of money. Then I tried to go on a long when it held. That didn't work out, so basically was flat there. Had a short on the breakdown, which was looking good. And then it got too strong again. Some program buying in there. It's one of those things, like it's putting in a higher low after bouncing off of this halt price, right? So this is a short breakdown. First time it breaks that price, it bounces off the halt price. I then short it here. Always going to take some out in front of that previous halt price. No follow through. A buyer in front of the halt price already. They like that long. Okay, we'll let it test up. Doesn't retake that 12 even. Test lower again. Buyer at the same price. Nope, break even, stop, I'm out of here, right? Again, the flip side of that trade is once you recognize that pattern, buyers just going load up in front of that halt price and putting in the higher lows, there's a reversal at that same price. Look at this. I mean, it even holds that same price area just below that 12. It tries to shake people out at 12 even. The real support is down here at 11.50 and the halt price down at 11.30. If you get shaken out, that's fine. Like 20 cents of risk, that's all you can take, I understand it. But the real level is down here at 11.50. It comes and retests the highs. Where does it turn? Oh my goodness. This was the halt at 13. This is the top where it opened out, the best out. I know it moved after that. And then where is the top here? So again, executions matter. This is where the stall was at 13.20. It seems random, my executions in all these wicks, but where does it turn? The same 13.20 up here, guys. I'm telling you, these things are never random. Brendo still got some earnings, eh?
Yeah, 10 minutes ago, guys. Let's get a look at how many, not a lot, but some interesting names once again coming up after market tonight and before the open tomorrow.
All right, I'm going to quickly take a look at some imbalances like I mentioned earlier. It looks like it's going to be to the buy side, so the market's reacting accordingly, right? Imbalances came out to the buy. So you see on my screen, largest one is COTY at 700,000 shares to the buy side. This is the list that you guys put down in the chat, so I just kind of marked them all down. They're not big. NIO's 466,000 to the buy. Broad market, we've got 1.28 million on Oracle, and Ford has 1.25, and Uber has 1.1 million shares, all to the buy side. So relatively speaking, this is kind of small. This isn't a whole lot in terms of absolute value in the broad market. This is not going to do a whole lot. You saw the quick reaction. Market went up a little bit, and here we are coming back again. So it doesn't seem like this imbalance so far is going to be that much of a mover. But again, we get an update at 3:55. So for the next update, we will. I'll come back again, and we'll see how much this changes. We see the largest on that list that you guys wanted is 670,000 for now. We'll see if that changes to the upside, or if that gets bigger, gets smaller, changes direction, whatever the case is. And there was a chat. I finally checked our internal chat, and there was a comment or a question that Valeria had posted for us that meant for me, which says, what do I mean when when I say the stock is in the money or out of the money? Well, in the money being I'm in the money, I'm making money on it, it's working in my favor. Out of the money is it's against me. I'm losing on the stock at the moment, and I haven't gotten out yet. So it's just a quick term of saying, hey, we're making money or we're losing money. We're long, we're short. We're long means for anyone who's new, I do want to kind of do this quick little session here.
It's a good point.
Yeah, if we're long, we just mean that we've bought the stock looking for the price to go up. And if we're short, it means that we've actually, it's a little bit more complicated, but we're selling against the price, looking for the price to go down, at which point we'll buy back cheaper and try to make money off that difference. So that's just a quick lesson on, for anyone who's new to the chat, who's just coming on board, because a lot of the time we talk as we're talking to people that are used to hearing what we say and knowing the lingo and all that. We do have to understand that sometimes there's people at different levels, right? This chat, this video, this stream is all about learning, and people are coming in without some formal education or whatever the case is, are brand new to the market and they want to learn. So we do have to accommodate that as well. And I just wanted to do a quick lesson on long shorts and what we mean by terms like, oh, in the money, out of the money. Imbalances, guys, this is just the pressure going into the 4 o'clock close, because for everyone who sends an on-close order, if you tag your order as on close, there is a certain type of order that you can tag as an on close condition. That means it gets printed right at the end. Those imbalance orders will show up here in the imbalance locator. It means how much has been, which direction are we leaning? Are we leaning 1 million shares to the buy side, sell side, whatever the case is? But that's what I mean by imbalance locator. And just a quick primer on all that general discussion that we have that we kind of take for granted because we assume that it's just general information, but it really isn't, because if you haven't done this and you're just starting out, this isn't going to be something that you're going to learn that easily.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm really glad you said all of that, Arun, because I know, look, I get caught, and Sean and I have been doing this for a while, and sometimes we do forget. You get caught up in the lingo, and for me, it's like as I'm seeing something live and explaining it, it's hard for me not to talk the way that I'm thinking, which isn't always going to make sense to everybody. So I appreciate, Arun, you doing that. I wanted to talk about Marvell for earnings here, because anytime a stock is top here like this, and I know it's right at that high, 52-week high at 64 on Marvell. I love this company, I own this company, candidly speaking, but when you're priced to perfection, like that's the term that people use, so whatever, we'll just use it in this particular case, and you're getting a bit of a pullback. You got the J-Hole Summit coming through as well. Look, it's an interesting spot where they're going to have to absolutely blow this thing out of the water, not to be maybe getting a bit of a pullback. And that could be with what I expect to be an impressive beat, which I think they're going to beat top and bottom in this particular case. Guidance, you never really know with the semi sector, but Marvel could be an interesting one. It'll be on the radar for trading tomorrow, almost 100%. And wow, that support. 5 minutes to go, but support just made, again, another test at that 20. Like I'm quite surprised here that it actually went right into 1999, pulled back, held. Remember, I got to zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. Remember when it was doing that little pushback, and I'm like, oh God, this guy's buying right in front of those orders, and it was holding 1930. Okay, so what happens when it tests 1999? It pulls right back into, oh, look at that, 1930. People aren't even creative with this stuff anymore. So it pulled back in 1930, bounced off that price. Test 1999 again, higher low. This is just coiling. I mean, talk about stock that's now really, really primed up to make a 4 o'clock move. Like I thought that back here was going to be a 4 o'clock mover. Now it just sort of feels like, and if it doesn't break 20, oh goodness, you're looking at 18 handle or something like that. Like if it fail breaks in the aftermarket at 20, people might actually dump this thing, although it feels pretty bullish at the current moment. You can never guarantee with these. Shouldn't gloss over that, yeah, we got Gap in there as well, and Peloton should be interesting for earnings. All of these should be on your radar 100%, guys. So we're always going to be day trading them every now and then. We'll talk about, other swing ideas. If they set up 100%, we'll go ahead and say that looks good and interesting for a swing, or what's going on if we're making change in like the long term. It's like, yeah, this is what I'm doing here. I'm not actually going to sell any Marvel at the top. I think it would have to pull back a heck of a lot. I like that company, but we'll always talk about those things as well. And for those of you who have been asking, Trader Prad was celebrating a trade, and you can probably hear him in the back, he was so loud. Trader Prad and Miss V and Memes and Movers getting close, getting even closer. Trust me, we're going to be back with that very, very soon. I know you guys want to see their lovely faces a heck of a lot more than mine, but don't worry. Sean will come back, and then I'll get to go on vacation, so you get a break from my ugly mug, at least for 1 week, you guys. So not too much movement here at the end in the futures, because it looks like we're holding some of those lows there, Arun.
Yeah.
How significant is it that you get a move into the downside, right into some of those lows, and you catch a bit of a bid? Although I kind of still feel like levels, do they matter with with the J-hole?
But do they matter with the J-hole? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But in this situation, you know what? The market's spending a lot of time and volume around 44.70. So I'm flat. I've gotten out. I've covered my cost on the trade, and I'm not making a whole lot on this futures trade. We held it for quite a while now. And you know what? We're going to take this, we're going to walk away from this, and tomorrow's going to be another day, which is going to kind of change the game quite a bit and should provide a good opportunity, because this is the first time in a week or so that we've actually moved on the futures in a big way, right? So this allows us to actually maybe set up for another trade tomorrow. We have some information coming out. We have some overseas news that's really moving the market that kind of changed the game a little bit today. So this is just a matter of setting up. What are we going to do next? Just a quick update on my WSM. I'm starting to pare down my position. I've already got now half in front of 187, and the other half I moved up to 186. We also have, as a day trading firm, we do have to get flat by the end of the day. We walk away with zero risk on the table, right? We're not swinging any positions to another day. So Neil's already flat completely. I'm almost out of all of it. I'm down to one half of a single position, and see if I can just get a rush on the orders towards the end of the day. Sometimes what I like to do is go right until 4 o'clock. If I think I have the liquidity to do it, I'll take it right into the 4 o'clock to see if I can't get out on some closing orders as people send in market orders and whatnot, and get some crosses to some random prices. Neil, what are you looking at?
Oh, you guys are just talking about that GSMG. Oh, wowzers. That's wowzers. What am I even saying at this point? Yeah, clearly next week I need some better puns. You guys can send me puns or whatever, and I'll have a bunch of them to come back with in a couple of weeks. But this stock was almost a one and done for me on a big short off of the morning, and then it's actually held the bottom. I did not see this one coming. This felt like it was dead to all rights down at $2. I didn't even come back to it when I got stopped out for the last of my shares up at the top here, but right back in. So this is now back on the radar for tomorrow. 250 court is in session for GSMG. Of course, as I say all of that and get excited for the chance that it's going to give you a shot at that 250 level tomorrow, but then promptly turns here off of that same 240 that it couldn't get past. So, yeah, that was me taking a long break and then getting right out when I couldn't hold 240. I'm like, ultimately getting a long break at 240 when 250 was sitting there, I instantly was like, that's an idiotic thing to do. Let's just get out of it. I probably should have jammed into a short, but 250 is still a level. We got 1 minute to go, and I feel like who's going to be on? Okay, anyways, I saw Lucas with the mallet or whatever the heck we call that thing. So I felt Lucas was going to be on the bell. Not sure who'd switch the show, although Maggie does a fantastic job. Miss V is going to be on the bell. Nice. Miss V is going to be on the bell here today, and should be an interesting one, of course, tomorrow. Stick around. Trade of the day is not going to be actually Sava. It's going to be GameStop, buying the dips on GameStop. So we'll learn a little something about that one. Sometimes you can be against the grain and still find some profitable trades as long as you are disciplined. I think a fantastic job, as always, for the entire crew around here, but we'll get to that at the end. Watching support, which is going to make a run at 20, it seems right at 4 o'clock here. So that'll be where my eyes are going to be right at 4 at the bell. It's going to be on SPRT. But right now, Ms. V, 10 seconds to go. Don't break my ears like Randy would. 7, 6, 5, 4. Wind it up. 3, 2, and 1. Ring it. I know that tune. And of course, not too much happens on SPRT, right? Like, it's actually barcoding. We get a close here at like 1970, and it's not really doing anything. I kind of thought this one might go. Still some time, but if it doesn't go up, watch out for a bit of a pullback here. I'm not really that curious to see how the market did, because I think we all know which direction it went. Miss V is in all black. Brennan, how did that work out for us?
Not well. Overall, I mean, we had some volatility come into the market, obviously for some news-based reasons this morning. But all said and done, yeah, we were red, but could have been a lot worse. Of course, 0.6, 0.5, 0.58 for U.S. markets. So as I said earlier, S&P and NASDAQ record highs yesterday. We're pulling off a little bit from that, obviously, but just notice Bitcoin down 3.5% as well.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, let's put things in perspective. It's 0.5%, right? Like, it's not like the be-all, end-all. And there you go. So it actually got a little bit of a pop there. We got into 21 there on SPRT. So it just took a little minute there for the buyers to kick in. And there's not much of an offer, so it has a chance to run, right? So this is kind of the reason why. Like, again, it's hard for, in the last, I think, few months, or maybe it's even been like a year or so, some of these moves might have actually happened going into the close. A lot of times they're not happening in the aftermarket where you get that dollar pop off of 20. So just a bit of a learning experience and adjustment that you make as a day trader. But thank you guys so much. You're the best. Arun has been absolutely fantastic, and tomorrow won't be his last day, even though Sean's coming back, because he'll be taking my place next week as well. So you get 2 weeks of Arun. If that's not reason enough to make sure that you tune in, get the notepads out, I don't know what to tell you guys, because it should be. So for the entire team, I'm going right down the line, because I always do, and I'm going to start with Trader Pratt and Miss V, who will be back with Memes and Movers, I think, shortly. Deuces, look at this shirt, man. Oh, go back for a quick second. Go. I know you guys will get that. Lehman Brothers Risk Management Department, 2008. Greatest sweater of all time. I love it for them, for Brendan Wickens. Also for the awesome production crew. I don't know where Rob is. He's in the back doing some work. But Maggie and Lucas on the 1s and 2s. For Sean, who at this point is probably sipping Cristal, or maybe Moe. I don't know. I'm not sure what his jam is. It probably is the Veuve. I'm Neil Roberts. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Trader TV Live, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.